I just woke up from a dream, and in my dream, I seen a couple of my ancestors. Literally, I seen my grandmother and my granddad. And funny enough, my grandmother was standing in the kitchen, but it wasn't just a kitchen. It was like, the like hide and seek armies in the old times that they didn't have enough supplies of guns and stuff, and they were hiding in the woods, right? And my grandmother is standing there and she's cooking in that polo kitchen, like outside kitchen. And I'm coming close to her and she's standing there next to a chopping block. And she's holding like those Chinese big knives. And she's chopping something. And I'm like, Nun, what you cooking? And she goes, shredded chicken. Huh? I'm, I'm looking at her and I'm looking at the chopping board. And I'm asking again, what are you cooking then? And she goes, shredded chicken. And I can swear that where I'm standing from, it doesn't look like shredded chicken. It literally looks like minced meat. And I'm like, shredded chicken? She goes, oh yes, right, it's a shredded chicken. And I'm looking at the woman again and I'm like, Babchi, you realize I know how to cook. She goes, you realize that this is a shredded chicken, right? And I'm like, nope. And my granddad comes in and my granddad is like, oh, me alone there. And I'm like, oh, thank you. So you can see it too, right? Like, this is a minced meat. It's not shredded chicken. And my grandmother starts shouting in Polish, like, oh, ty stary durniu, blah, 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 whatever, right? And she calls him, oh, you old prick, and this and that. You can't see what I'm cooking. It's shredded chicken. It's not me alone. And the man is stuck, like, standing and stuck and watching the minced meat and watching me and watching her. And she's holding those chopping things. And she's standing there in front of us and she's like, well, you see that I can show you it's a shredded chicken. And I'm like, okay. And she takes out something that's supposed to be looking like a shredded chicken, right? So she took a pile of bones out, and I know it's a chicken because I can see a wing, right? A little bit of a wing and a pile of bones. And she goes, slippery motherfucker wanted to pretend that he's a chicken, but he has no eggs. Well, what do you mean he had no egg? She said, well, he pretended to be a chicken, but when I touched his balls, he had no eggs. And I'm looking at my grandma and I'm saying, oh, okay, so okay, so it's a chicken, it's a he or it's a she? And he goes, and she goes, it's a he, but he pretended to be a she. So when I touched his balls and there was no eggs, I chopped the motherfucker. I realized that it's a fraud. And I'm standing there and I'm looking at my grandmother and I'm like, okay. And she goes, well, slippery motherfucker didn't want to die. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, well, but the knife slipped maybe once or twice and maybe a million times. And I'm looking at her and she goes, well, let me cook. I'll be still cooking and I'll have to cook fast. And I'm like, why? And she goes, because there's 5 more motherfuckers sitting in the bag. And I'm looking literally just across the tree, and there is a tree and there is like a bag, and there is a bag of chickens, like alive chickens. And she's saying those are next to go, and I'm seeing this one on the chopping board and she's claiming that to be shredded chicken when it's minced meat. And she goes, that your point of view only is from a perspective that you're standing on. And I'm like, so if I go around the table it will be looking like shredded chicken? She goes, no, it will still look as you think it looks. But if I tell you enough that it's a shredded chicken, you will accept it for a fact, right? I'm like, no, I will not accept it because I can see this is a minced meat. I'm not debating it's chicken, but I'm debating the texture of it. And she goes, well, a woman has to cook. And I'm like, okay, fair enough, you have to cook, keep cooking, right? And then I'm standing like a little bit farther from her and I'm watching the back and I'm watching her. And every chicken she goes next to, right, she's starting like feeling for it. Like, well, the ox, are you the real one or not? And that gives me an idea. Some people are cloaking to be something that they are not in your energy. They look like chicken, they talk like chicken, they walk like chicken, but they have no eggs. So they are not what they claim to be. And your spirit's team is extremely terror, should I say, the way that the woman was feeling for the eggs and checking if that's a chicken or it's not a chicken or it's a man or a woman chicken. Let me put it this way. And she was off with the heads, like, when it was no eggs in there, then, and she was letting the eggs go. So she's, your spirit team, your ancestors, especially your grandmother, is on a hunt for men. And there is 6 men that she's hunting, because there was 1 shredded chicken just on the board and 5 more in the bag. So she's going after a group of men that she's going to shred. So speaking, and your spirit team is hunting, delivering, and catching. And the thing is that whoever is trying to cloak themselves, they're really good at it, because when I look at the chickens, they all look like chickens. But when my grandmother look at it, and she knows how to check it, she find out which ones are chicken, which ones are not. Maybe you have to pay attention more to what your gut is telling you. Because when she was telling me this is a shredded chicken, I knew that it was a minced meat. I knew, but yet she was telling me straight in, and everybody else that came to the board, that it was shredded chicken. Yet everybody else knew that this is a minced meat. Be careful of people trying to hand you something or convince you that something in front of you is something else. Trust your instinct, trust what you see, because you see the right thing. And your spirit team, I'm hearing, we don't want to worry you. We don't want to worry you. Maybe your spirit team don't want to worry you about what they're hunting for, who they're hunting for, what kind of chicken they're hunting for. But they're hunting and they're cooking, and it looks nothing like shredded chicken, but it looks more like minced meat. And my grandmother's explanation was the knife was too sharp and it just slipped.